Hi people, me again obviously as always, Moino Ravenberg. Yeah, as you can tell, this video is simply a reminder of the importance of having self-worth and not selling your ass, both metaphorically as well as literally, under no conditions or condition and or circumstance or circumstances. Um, Again, it speaks for itself, okay? Over the course of my life, I've met situations in which people have literally I've seen people demean themselves for the sake of money. I mean, especially in the third world. At the time of this recording, I live in the third world still, not by choice, but by necessity. And yeah, people, or better said, what are supposed to be people, are disposable. You can buy and sell their sorry asses. As long as you give them money, then it's all good. It's not a problem. And it's just laughable, okay? I mean, it doesn't matter how hard you have it. For me personally, obviously, it doesn't matter how hard things get financially. If I were to place myself in the shoes of the average person or someone that's struggling, nothing makes it so that you are going to beg someone for money, whether it be directly, indirectly, or otherwise. There are exceptional cases, but an exceptional case would be your house burning down and you having to plead to someone that, hey, I wouldn't do this if I really had no other choice, but my house burned down and everything, so I am simply politely asking you, I'm beseeching you in a matter of speaking, if there is any way you can help me out with like a loan of some sort or similar. In such a situation, I can say, hey, yeah, no, I know the guy wouldn't do this if like his ass wasn't on the line. That means that this is like a last resort for him. He has really no other choice, no other option, and he has no one else to turn to, and I know he's true to his word, he's going to pay me back, blah, 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 etc., etc. That's something else entirely, but I'm not talking about that. I'm going to give you guys several examples, okay? Examples that I haven't shared to the public. Simple example, my late cab driver, there was a guy I used to drive with, right? Now, I'm not speaking ill of him, let me say that beforehand, and let me also say that I might have brought this topic up in the past. That's why I said this video is a reminder. It was a long time ago if I did bring it up at all. Bottom line is, if I did bring it up, it was in an indirect fashion, or at the very least, or at absolute best, depending on your perspective. It was not brought up in the same vein or within the same context that I'm bringing it up in. And even if that was the case, that's why this is just that, a reminder. Now, I'm not speaking ill of the guy. But of course, he's your typical third worlder. He lives more or less paycheck to paycheck and whatnot. And of course, me, I was like a VIP customer to say the least. So I paid well, and I essentially ghosted the guy because of his derogatory behavior and or attitude. Like he was pretty much the definition of a loose cannon. As in, someone cuts him off, he starts swearing and screaming at the guy, threatening to chop his ass with a machete, stuff like that. Now, I ghosted him, and he understands the concept of ghosting. He's not stupid, like even an animal would understand the concept of ghosting, so he's not that stupid. Even these guys aren't that stupid, they understand the concept of being ghosted. And what does the guy do? The guy essentially shows up at my front door, and he tries to gaslight me by saying, hey, it's my birthday, etc. And then the guy tries to put on some kind of sob story, all the while shedding tears. But of course these tears were at least indirectly fabricated, just going and he's literally telling me, I'm begging you, please drive with me again. Even if it's only for half the money, etc. You tell me how cringeworthy that is. Would you go to someone's house and say, I'm begging you. You tell me how lacking in self-worth you need to be for that. You work for a company, would you do something like that? I work for a company, for example, just an example, I'm the average person. I do not care, okay? Things, we go our separate ways, whatever. It doesn't matter whether I get fired, whether it be honorably or dishonorably discharged, you name it. I resign, you name it, it does not matter. I am not going back to that company. At absolute best, I am very reluctant to do so, but at absolute best, I would do so within a normal fashion, and I would give clear-cut details. I'm simply filing an application again. If people ask me why I'm back, I'm openly going to tell them to their faces why I'm back, and that I definitely didn't come back begging for my job back or anything like that. It's simply a very complicated and exceptional situation, and that's just it. Period. But that, again, even this is worst case scenario. Like, absolutely, I can't find a job anywhere else or anything like that. Even then, I would think 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. But, you know, it just goes on. Would you ever seriously go to your boss's house, like a company you worked for, and your boss fired you, there's no other job in town, you really need the money, you're about to be homeless, your wife leaves you or husband leaves you, it doesn't matter, your entire life collapses, you're about to be homeless, like literally, not metaphorically. You tell me if you would seriously still go to someone's door, your boss's doorstep. For example, your boss's name is McMahon. Mr. McMahon, I'm begging you, please take me back. I desperately need the money. Are you kidding me? No. What that signals to any person that's of a sound mind is that you have no self-worth whatsoever. That you're like a hooker. You can be used and abused and mistreated. You're no different than an inanimate object. You're like this handkerchief. I literally wipe myself off with you. I dispose of you. Literally, you're good to take boogers, my boogers and shit. It just goes on. It immediately signals to people that you have no self-worth whatsoever. It just goes on. Okay, years ago, let's see, 2024, 2019, 5 years ago, another late cab driver of mine, guy as well, typical third worlder, greedy guy. Okay, he was greedy. Long story short, his greed made it so that he lost a well-paying job due to fraud. He was a bookkeeper by trade, and of course, when he went to prison, because the company filed charges against him when they discovered it, yada yada yada, etc., etc. He, again, I'm also not speaking ill of him, but I already told him all this shit to his face back when he was still alive, and he just. Not the former one that I mentioned was an Indian, and the guy that I'm mentioning now was a black guy. Not that it matters. I'm just saying. I'm just an FYI, a miscellaneous FYI. Now, camera, why on focus? Okay, yeah, most likely because my hand. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that guy himself, typical. I saw the greed come out. I was like, yeah, I'm literally seeing it back in 2019. I openly said I am seeing why this guy went to prison to begin with. Typical, another thing I don't like. Back in the day, no one asked me for anything when I was like the average person. I still had all this negativity and nightmarish shit to deal with. The consensus was, oh, Moreno has no money, don't have to ask him anything. Later on, jealousy rears its ugly head, obviously, or jealousy or simply being nosy, prying, okay? And the general consensus is that, oh no, Moreno's doing so well now, hotshot, magician, world renowned, etc. Moreno lives in an expensive house all by himself, blah, 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 blah. And it begins. It's because I knew him for years. He sent me a text message or a WhatsApp message, hey, I would like to borrow $300, US dollars, obviously, or euros, whatever. You'll get it back over the course of 2 months, is that okay? And I called him, I was like, why are you sending me a message like this? He was like, no, I went to the bank and, I applied for a loan, but they didn't want to give me a loan because of my age and whatnot. Because he was already like, I think in his 50s or something. I was like, okay. Not okay to that, okay to what he said, to his remarks. And I said to myself, okay, you know what, I'm going to make a one-time exception. And again, speaking of this, do never lend money to anyone. Again, another reminder, banks give out loans, not people. Do not, because more often than not, you will end up having to chase your own money and ruin a friendship or whatever relationship you are going with the person ongoing in the process so simultaneously. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, but the negative equivalent thereof. Yeah, and and the only reason I lent him that money, was because I was like, hey, I know this guy for like a decade pretty much, like 10 years going on more. So let me just make a one-time exception for him because I've known him for so long and we knew each other well. Immediately after the first month, I regret my decision. The agreement was that he was going to bring me the money itself. Well, the end of the month is near. Of course, lack of punctuality, utter lack of punctuality, these types. It's quite common in the third world. The guy literally doesn't thingy. I call him, I'm like, hey, where's my money? He was like, oh no, I don't have it yet. I'm like, the agreement was the end of the month. Yeah, no, but I don't have it yet. I like, try again at the end of the week. I'm like, what? Try again? He said he either said that or something equivalent to that. Either way, I'm like, it begins. And then, no, oh sorry, what? I didn't see you all day. Oh no, I'm too busy, etc. I have a lot of stuff to do. Can you like thingy me? Can you come pick it up? The only reason I go is because it's my money. I'm like, okay, no, lesson learned. You see that? I tried to do something good for someone. I don't regret doing what I did, but this is the last time. The whole thing is rounded off. Okay, it's over and done with. Now, after a couple of months, someone's calling me again. I'm like, what is it? I'm gonna have to ask you again for financial support. I'm like, what the fuck? Do I look like the motherfucking United Nations to you? Or the International Monetary Fund or something like that? Or a World Bank? Or do I look like the Central European Bank? No. The only reason I lent you that thing was because I knew you so long, so I thought to myself, I'm simply gonna help someone out. But I immediately regretted my decision because you act like a fucking parasite. Typical local. And I said to myself, no, listen, we're leaving it at that, etc. I seriously contemplated as in, hey, should I just tell this guy to stop, to not come by? Okay, I'd be losing a good cab driver in the process, someone good in the sense that I've known the person for years, but I don't care really. I'll tell you to fuck off all the same, piss off, fuck off, and everything else in between. Again, I'm not speaking ill of these guys, but these guys are textbook examples. And I told a friend of mine, and a friend started laughing. He was like, ha, like you're some kind of charity case. Who the fuck does he think does he think that you're some kind of bank or something, international bank? I'm like, see? You see the bad habit. You're seeing why he went to prison to begin with. You're seeing for yourself, like a cautionary tale. Bear in mind, these guys are literally only 2 examples out of, I don't know, I lose track after a while, like maybe 12, 10. It just goes on. So again, a simple reminder. Over the course of my career, I have refused customers, for example, that displayed abhorrent behavior, like the ones I listed earlier, for example, just as an example or as examples. If someone misbehaves like that, I will openly tell you to fuck off. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care whether you have billions. I don't care whether you have the GDP of an entire country. I do not care. My self-worth and my integrity is everything, in a matter of speaking, or at the very least within this context. So I do not care. I will tell you to take your money and fuck off, and optionally shove it up your ass. Plain and simple. And I would recommend to anyone to do the same. Do not allow someone to treat you like dirt or similar because just for the sake of money or something else that you rely on them for. It does not matter. You can be cautious or reluctant, but definitely not. Definitely don't allow any kind of disrespect, let alone a substantial amount of disrespect, the likes of which I've seen and have described. I mean, are you kidding me? Because that doesn't say so much about the person. The one you should look at is yourself, because what that says about you factually is that you can be bought and sold. You have a price tag essentially. Like I said, this is quite common in the world. You've got gold digging, you've got everything. Another example I can give, I already said this in the past, but not within the same context. When I first got my tattoos, long story short, I first got these tattoos and I got 4 of them, etc. And I saw some Eurotrash bitch. No offense to her, but I don't give a rat's ass if she's offended. Not that she'll ever end up watching this video. It's highly unlikely, but then again, the entire world knows me, I don't care. And she's a typical Eurotrash girl. She was from the Netherlands, and she, I could tell her type, you know, she was like mixed race. Not that that matters, it's just an FYI. I know the type. I was like, yeah, I already see that you're the product of a Eurotrash white guy and a black local mother. Yeah, that's why. She was like palish looking, Caucasianish looking, but you can tell that her jawline and her well above average size nose, that was not exactly like in perfect alignment with her face, immediately gives away that, yeah, this bitch has blood, this girl has, this female has some African blood in her, so to speak. Like I said, not that it matters to me. I'm simply saying I know the type. You'll come across these types globally in Europe as well. And typical gold digger, you know, entire mentality changes. I'm like, nah, look at this thing. This is laughable. In the beginning, she thought that I was just some stupid third worlder that couldn't afford shit, bluntly put. And I asked her about the tattoos. She was there working as a receptionist. She was like an expat, temporary expat. She was only here temporarily. She already long left back to the Netherlands. And the consensus was, hey, you know, the entire mentality, you can afford it, etc. Why are you asking? They're like, no, it's going to be expensive. No, it's going to be really expensive. Like, I think maybe $40 or euros for one tattoo. And then I had enough of it. I just told her to shut the fuck up. I was like, shut up, the money is not a problem. I was like, oh, is that clear enough for you? I want to talk to one of the tattoo artists because you're obviously not one of them. You just do reception, no offense to you. Now, a couple of days go by, and of course I, you know, come in, I get a lot of tattoos, etc. Maybe like $300, $400, $500 worth of tattoos. You know me, I'm like immediately buy. And immediately, like after 4 days, I go and she's the only one there again. 9 a.m. in the morning. So just play 9 a.m. And it's 9 in the morning, and I go there, and she's like busy just making, she's like doodling on a piece of paper, etc. Typical tattoo artist. I go, first thing, good morning. Hello, how are you today? How are your tattoos? Did they dry? Immediately the entire, she does a 180. I was like, yeah, typical gold digger, nothing I'm not aware of already, or I wasn't aware of already. But still, I mean, come on. That simply tells me that this sorry bitch can be bought and sold. I mean, I don't want to be degrading towards women, but if you behave like that, then you can be bought and sold, honestly. I can just as easily, you know, do you know? Yes, nah. Yes. So again, a reminder to people, do not be like this, okay? Do not have a price tag on you. You're not an inanimate object. You're not a cell phone. You're not a blow-up doll. You're not a webcam, you're not a microphone, you're not a laptop. No, okay? You can be ambitious and strive towards wealth for the sake of principle, but let that be all there is. And it doesn't matter what kind of hardships or difficulties you have to deal with. It doesn't matter what kind of hardships and horrific negativities you have to bear, regardless of its nature. Do not make it so that it becomes so great to the point where you lose yourself, all the while just succumbing to what I said earlier, becoming essentially like an inanimate object that can be bought and sold, like you've got a price tag on you, and you'll make the same mistakes that the people I mentioned in this video up to this point have made, or better said, what are supposed to be people. Bye bye.